right, we have some breaking news for you right now. The US President Donald Trump is open to supporting armed groups willing to take up arms against Iran's regime, but has not made a final decision on providing arms training or intelligence aid. This is the latest that we're picking up. That's what the US officials have told the Wall Street Journal. Remember, yesterday, the US President Donald Trump said that US has unlimited pack of any kind of missiles to hit Iran. This at a time when US not only wants to dismantle Iran, but also wants to completely destroy various Iranian proxies in the region. And that's why US and Israel are also pounding Hezbollah and Lebanon. But to tell us more about this statement that the Wall Street Journal is picking up, I have with us Vishal Vivek, who's been tracking the story very closely. Vishal, tell us more about this big claim that the Wall Street Journal is reporting, that Trump has said that he is open to supporting armed groups who are perhaps willing to take up arms against the Iranian regime. If something like this happens, how do you see the situation perhaps impacting and widening the whole of Middle East?
Well, these anti-regime forces in Iran are quite powerful, especially the Kurdish groups towards the border with Iran. They are in lakhs of numbers and they have already been fighting this long war with the Iranian regime, and that is the group that the Trump regime wants to fund, wants to give intelligence to. This is of course based on one report from the Wall Street Journal. There is no official confirmation on this. Trump can speak on this matter, but we'll have to wait for that. So far, we can say that there is a background to this, that these groups have already been fighting a war against the Iranian regime, so they are well equipped. And if the US troops come in, or US intelligence comes in and gives them training, gives them some weapons, that will be a huge boost for these Iranian anti-Iran regime forces. What effect that can have on the larger issue of toppling the regime, that remains to be seen, because IRGC is still the most powerful body inside the Iranian territory. But these groups also can inflict a lot of damage. They have been working for decades against the regime. If there is a big force like the US trying to assist them, that will be a big bolster for them, and that can change the dynamics of the whole area, because these forces have been in the game for the last 3-4 decades, and they want an excuse to fight. And just to give you one more perspective, Iran is already hitting these anti-regime forces. Iran is already giving some preemptive strikes towards the border with Iraq. So these forces are already incurring a lot of damage. If the US comes in and supports them, they may be able to inflict some damage on the regime.
Like you also mentioned, that US has already been arming the Kurdish forces to instigate some kind of an uprising in Iran, looking for a regime change. But that is what the US has said. The regime change is not the ultimate goal, but the ultimate goal is to completely dismantle the military capabilities and the nuclear capabilities of Iran. But Vishal, if we look at realistically, if something like this does take place, if Trump does go forward and funds all these anti-Iran rebel groups, we have that on one hand. On the other hand, we have Israel also opening up another front while attacking the Hezbollah in Lebanon. Considering both these parameters, how do you see the situation panning out in West Asia? And if something like this does happen, I believe the war will not come to an end anytime soon, but would only expand further.
Yes, that seems to be the case. If that scenario plays out, there will be several factors, there are several players in the same region that will come out of hiding, because there are some Iran regime forces inside Iraq territory. These are heavily armed, really powerful groups inside the Iraq territory that have been called in time and again whenever there have been big protests inside Iran's territory. So these forces also number in terms of hundreds of thousands. So if these Kurdish forces, if these anti-regime forces are mobilized by the US side, Iran will then mobilize troops from the Iraqi side that seem to be funded by them. So this will be a total mess of a situation. This will need even more pressure from the US side, from the Israeli side, to quell for the protests, for the whole situation to die down. So that is not what US will be looking for. US will want this situation to be resolved as soon as possible, because Iran can do some damage. It is already doing a lot of damage.
Right, Vishal, thanks for getting us the latest right now.